Welcome to the Interchange. I'm Latif Hassan. For the past 25 years, I was living in Napa Valley, California, consulting and representing buyers and sellers of wineries, vineyards, and luxury estates. My clients were the founders of publicly listed companies, tech giants, entrepreneurs, and philanthropists, all living their best lives and many changing up the world before our eyes. On the Interchange, I take a deep dive into their personal stories and many other fascinating people I have met from around the world.
If we all suddenly are in driverless electric networked cars, maybe it can all be coordinated such that we don't have as much traffic.
We talk cutting-edge technology, financial intelligence, leadership, climate change, the power of philanthropy, passion, and much more. But that's not all. As a patron of the world-renowned Festival Napa Valley, I chat with internationally renowned artists and emerging talent who grace the festival stage during the 10 best days of summer each year.
It's like being in Europe and going out to a performance every day and every night in the most beautiful settings and incredible food and wine. You really do feel like you're in Europe.
So tune in for each episode because the Interchange is where inspiration meets innovation. Hello everybody, Jean-Charles Boisset is a French vintner and visionary leader in the wine industry. He's the force behind the Boisset Collection, which operates 28 wineries in France and California. Forbes has described him as the James Bond of wine. I would venture to say he's the James Bond of living your best life. Today we talk about his life, his brand, his expansion into spirits, and all the fabulous experiences he has curated for his guests. Welcome, my friend.
Bonjour, Latif.
Oh.
I think if we really start the true French art de vivre, we're going to have to pop the cork. And I know we're on your beautiful studio, but here is a day to us together.
Woo!
Celebrating life.
Oh my goodness.
The JCB way with our champagne. Number 44. So Latif, to your incredible show, to our wonderful time together, let's do a cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, dear friends.
You do realize I've been trying to get you into my web over here in the studio since 2018. You're a busy guy.
I love it. I feel like a spider. And I love being in your web. So this is a great honor and a pleasure to be with you, Latif.
Thank you. I wasn't going to let you escape me.
I don't want to escape. I'm in the cocoon. As Austin Power would say, I'll stay in.
I know this is just going to be my most fun interview. You were born in Burgundy in 1969 to Jean-Claude Boisset and Claudine Boisset, and they started a winery in 1961. So you were raised in the vineyards. And I know that being raised in the vineyards had a profound impact on you and your view of soil being a living organism. So how do you think that impacted your world today in business?
Well, Latif, thank you to share my age to everyone. I was born indeed on that very seductive, romantic, and very sexy year, 1969. And I like to share with everybody that, my parents were great, born and raised in Burgundy. So indeed really started the winery in 1961. And I was born in the small town of Vougeot, Grand Cru of all the top Pinot Noir of Burgundy. This is really the Vatican, the Mecca, where everything started in terms of fine Pinot Noir in the world. So I was crawling in the barrels because in the living room was really the winery. My parents started from nothing and my garden was the vineyards. So, which was beautiful because my best friend was Mother Nature. So I got to, as I was crawling and barely walking, to touch the soil of Burgundy, to understand the microorganism nature of that soil, to look at the worms, to look at the insect, to really see the rootstock grow and give birth to those beautiful grapes. So I really got to understand Mother Nature as much as I started to understand the world. And I frankly understood Mother Nature much better and earlier than the world at large. So I was born really in this great place where I would see my parents making wine as early as 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. Grapes would come in, my mother, father, and a few people would help, and you would see the natural fermentation of what the grape turns into wine and how you made wine. So my sister and I visualize it since birth, and we were really born with the barrels in the living room, the little tanks, fermentation, bottling, and wine on the table at all time, which was really a blessing because you understood the cycle of Mother Nature from the photosynthesis in the vineyards all the way to harvesting the grapes and participating to this, to eating the berries, to making fruit juice, from obviously the grapes all the way to tasting the fermentation of the grapes in the barrel, all the way to then bottling the wine and tasting a finished wine. So it was a spectacular experience. I would never trade it for anything else.
No, of course not. And back then, was the soil still damaged from the war?
The soil was damaged because of mainly equipment. So in the 70s, you had a race to equipment and innovation. And we realized really quickly that equipments were too heavy and they were compacting the soil. And the soil is a living organism. It's like you and I, it breathes. And we were eliminating a lot of the nutrients in the soil because we were too heavy, compacting and over again, really killing the topsoil. So we reintroduced horse plowing, we really reintroduced lighter equipment then in the 90s and early 2000s so that the soil could live again. Because the soil is like us, it grows, it expands, it matures, and then it becomes not as rich, which is typically great for the rootstocks because you don't want a very highly fertile soil. You want the roots to go deep for its nutrients and to really seek for its food very deep so it gets a greater flavor profile from the soil itself. Because as above, so below, what we need to understand, like an oak tree, the root mechanism is very wide, wider below than above, similar to the rootstock. It gets its nutrient from the soil, and the soil gives the taste differentiation of the wine. And this is why Burgundy, as an example in Napa Valley, are so unique for the complexity of soil and the roots going very deep to find its food.
And we know that wine is made mostly in the vineyard, right?
We really believe so. It's so important to be respectful of Mother Nature. And Mother Nature is typically very well done and extremely well organized. Nature is more powerful than we are, and we need to listen to her and work in synergy with her. We need to be partners, and we need to respect her. This is why we do everything in a biodynamic rhythm. We listen to biorhythm of Mother Nature, which means the interrelationship between the sun, the moon, and the earth, the weather condition, the plant, and the soil, and the human being, and of course, our passion within this whole alchemy. So we really work through all that rhythm that is imposed to us by Mother Nature, and this is why wine tastes better, because we really take all that into account. Furthermore, there's a great saying, Latif, come from the Native Americans: take off your shoes and caress the skin of Mother Nature. I love this saying. Younger, I used to run in the vineyards barefoot. I felt the soil. I felt the energy of what the soil had to offer. And this is why it's so profound and so powerful to be in synergy with Mother Nature. Mother Nature gives you the best if she wants to. This is why we often say 70% of a great wine is made in the vineyard, because if you have great fruit, similar to a chef, great vegetables, great natural products, you can make a wonderful dish. If you start with something very poor of every average, it's very difficult to transform it. So the vineyard, Mother Nature, the plant, the soil, the energy of this whole alchemy is essential to highly perform and to give you vibrational wine. Because Latif, as I look at you in the eyes, I feel the energy and the vibration. And this is what gets me excited, is your interest, your question, and how you behave as a human being. And this is why I wanted to do this with you. Same with Mother Nature. She watches you, she listens to you. And if she knows you respect her, and you take all the parameters into account, she will give you the best. And the best grapes would eventually give the best wine. You still need to be a good winemaker, yes, a good guide to the transformation of those beautiful berries into that liquid gold. But if you're not carefully listening to her, she would not honor you and give you the best.
Well, and haven't we seen that? You have 28 wineries. How many are in France and how many are here?
We have, I believe, 16 or 17 in France, the balance here in beautiful California. And the beauty of all those wineries, think of it as a curator of a great gallery or owning a portfolio of great chateaus and domain. This is really what I have to do with all our wonderful winemakers, vineyard managers, and curators of each of those great historical sites, is to work in synergy with them. So I work or evolve. Work is a stretch. I don't think I've ever worked in my life because
I was going to say that today.
I'm having fun with everyone.
With everything.
It's a collection of wonderful people, great artists, and my role as a winemaker from birth to guide them in the styling of the wine to really perform at its best to maintain the identity of each of the wineries. So Raymond Vineyards is different than Buena Vista, which is different than Deloach, different than Bouchard, different than Domaine de la Vougeray or the J.C. Boisset winery. So they all have a very unique style, a very unique identity, a very unique personality, a unique tasting profile. And my role with our winemaking team and vineyard team is always to make sure in the choreography of all that to preserve this identity.
And are you doing biodynamic farming on all of your...
Most of our wineries, absolutely. And we really follow a lot of principles. Number one, audacity. We want our winemakers and our vineyard managers to take risk. In risk is eliminating totally pesticides and herbicides, eliminating totally what people think is curating the vineyards. We don't want to curate the vineyards or cure the vineyards. We want to anticipate any potential illness. This is why we're in the world of prevention. So each of them have a role, is to observe Mother Nature, to walk with Mother Nature, to touch Mother Nature, to feel Mother Nature, to embrace her, and to really walk the vineyards all the time, to be part of that enormous, phenomenal painting that is the world of wine, which is the vineyard associated with the hand of the winemaker. This is why we actually call our winemaker viniculturalist. Vine, the culture of wine.
Ah, I love it.
All the way from the soil, the plant, the winemaking, to the culture of communicating the good words to all our wonderful guests as far as what wine is about.
So tell me, is biodynamic farming, organic farming, is it more expensive to do? And my next question would be, how do you think as a country America is doing, or France, in making that transition?
So committing to organic farming and biodynamic farming is a philosophy of life. First and foremost is to embrace Mother Nature as a friend, as I described. So to be constantly in touch with one another. You lose friendship if you're not in touch. Same with Mother Nature. You cannot run it from New York or Paris. You have to be in the vineyards at all time. Understand that wonderful symbiotic relationship with the vines and talking to the vines as they respond to you. So it is more expensive because you have to be more involved, and you eliminate, disciplinary, methodical process that are imposed by pesticides, herbicides, and synthetic products. You basically work in preventing. So one, you work with the moon, and the sun, and the calendar, which is the Mariatun calendar, the biodynamic calendar that was defined, years and years ago as the lunar cycle. So you work with the rhythm of nature, which imposes you more symbiotic relationship, more synergy between you and nature. You eliminate entirely pesticides and herbicides and Roundups and all those products. Yes. So you work with plants to treat plants or to prevent any potential illness. So yarrow, chamomile, vervinia, nettle, and you create tea preparation with natural rainwater, and you spray this in the vineyard. So you really have a very diligent process to prevent anything happening in the vineyards with other plants. So it's a very beautiful, noble ecosystem that is more demanding. Same with organic farming. You eliminate entirely synthetic products. So it's, yes, slightly more expensive, but it's more noble. I believe, Latif, if you're giving the responsibility of Mother Nature, it's an enormous responsibility to the world, to generation of the future, to the past, present, and future. You're given an acre of land, and you have to respect that acre of land. If you're not committed to this, don't do it. Be a stockbroker in a building full of cement and do what you do and daily trading. But if you want to be committed to Mother Nature, which has been my life, you got to be able to understand each of those steps, which is very thorough, very detail-oriented, extremely methodical, and constant, but the reward is extremely high because you build that relationship, Mother Nature responds beautifully, and ultimately, the quality of the grapes is phenomenal, and the wine becomes magical. They become vibrational. They become wine with high frequency, wine with high magnetism, wine with high energy like you.
We're getting to that. But I do want to ask you, really, do we know what percentage of wineries have adopted this?
I believe in Burgundy it's around 6 to 8 to 10%.
Because it's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time.
And it's a big commitment, and it's more expensive.
Yeah.
As we said, between 15 to 25% more expensive to farm your vineyards. But what's the cost of the most high-end land in the world, which are vineyards? It's more expensive than corn, than wheat, than any other land on the planet. Vineyard land are the most expensive per square foot, per acre, per hectares. So you commit to this. And I believe we have no choice, Latif. If we farm, we have to be responsible farmers. There's a reason why I was given the responsibility to farm. And if I accepted it, I had to farm at the highest level. I could not fall behind. I could not go to the easy practice of synthetic product.
Right.
This would be the assassination of our land. This would be betraying Mother Nature where I was born. And I could not do this. So I had to be organic. I had to be biodynamic. My sister and I are fully in sync on this magnificent process. And again, ultimately, you make true wines. You make wine with no pesticides, no herbicides in your glass. Remember, if I add things to my soil, to my rootstock, and to my vines, I don't know fully what ends up in that glass of wine.
That's right.
And I really believe, and I'm convinced in that, and it's been proven by a lot of researchers, that extreme pesticides and herbicides create all form of illness for the human beings, as well as the animals. So why wouldn't we find alternative practices? It's only going back to square one. We've always been organic. We've always been biodynamic. We decided after the war and in the 60s and 70s, because of the invention of the big labs, to evolve our agricultural and viticultural practices. Why? We've been doing it for 30 years, Latif, and our wines have never been better.
Right.
So the proof.
It's just getting better and better all the time. Well, what a shame that there's so few wineries doing it. And to be clear, though, you still have to spray sulfur, right? Right.
And copper and others, but it's proven that many of those are preserving and have positive attributes to the land and to the vines. So let's be clear, we still have to do a few things to the entire evolution of winemaking, but we're making pure wines, true wines, authentic wines, coming from the parcelle, the land, and the exact, area of where it comes from, the true terroir, and we make better wine. In the winemaking, we use a lot of endogenous yeast. We let the fermentation happen. We use less intervention. We don't do certain processes that we used to do automatically to make sure that wine is very true to the vision we have of this exact piece of land. And this is why it's exciting, and this is why, Latif, I do what I do.
Yes.
It's a lot more work.
Yes.
It's a greater commitment. It's a greater involvement. It's a non-stop connection to the mother nature and to the evolution of the wine in the winery. But this is why you do it.
Wow.
I do it because I have a true commitment to you of providing to you on the dinner table or the lunch table, maybe the breakfast table, a beautiful wine, a gorgeous champagne, an incredible bourbon or whiskey or tequila that is true to Mother Nature.
Where is your champagne coming from?
Champagne, of course.
Champagne, of course.
So we make champagne from Champagne, but we make as well Crémant de Bourgogne from Burgundy. We make outstanding sparkling wine from Carneros and the Russian River and the Sonoma Coast and Napa Valley as well. So we make really sparkling from both Burgundy, from as well the Jura, from other parts of France, Champagne, and Sonoma and Napa Valley. So we really a fully comprehensive sparkling wine producer using méthode champenoise, or the traditional method, which is the fermentation in the bottle. And it's beautiful, as you just tasted.
Yes, I'll say. I do want to ask you quickly, though, about the heat and, well, not the fires, but the heat is getting so much hotter so early in the year. How do you think that's going to affect vineyards in terms of, in Carneros, for example, you have Pinot and Chardonnay, you need cooler temperatures, it's cooler down there, and then you tend to have your Cabernet further north.
Yes.
And now it's getting so hot.
So in all regions in the world, from Burgundy all the way to Napa Valley, we're harvesting differently. In Burgundy, as an example, a lot earlier. Most likely a month earlier than before. Historically, one of the most repeated date of harvest was mid-September to September 24, 26. Today it's becoming late August. So we just adapt ourselves to all those global warming evolution. Same here in Napa Valley. But what is important is we're very good for the ecosystem because we want to stress the vine further. We're trying to drip irrigate less, to dry farm more, to get the roots to go deeper to find its nutrients. So we have all kinds of techniques, Latif, to adapt and help Mother Nature to still produce great wines and evolve in the vineyards and in the winery differently. So, we're very resilient as human beings. We're the best to adapt to the evolution of our ecosystem and our planet. So I think all of us, thanks to great innovation in research and agriculture and a lot of scientists working in our direction, we evolve and we adapting. And I'm actually very optimistic as far as how our vineyards are today, how beautiful they are, how we're moving as well more into organic farming. So you mentioned not all of us are, but a lot of us are evolving into being interested in it and into converting into that new religion, you could call it. It's a new way of life that people have to adapt. And it's a new way of learning and working with your vineyard. So I think we need to be positive. We've never made greater wines. We've never had so many people collecting wines. People say wine world is slowing down. It's not really slowing down. It's slowing down in the lower areas of winemaking, but in the fine wine categories, it's still growing. People want to drink less and better.
Less and better.
And I agree with that.
Yes, definitely.
We're not here to drink 2 bottles a day. The body cannot take it. We need to drink responsibly, with discipline, with food, and enjoy wonderful bottles of wine and open many bottles of wine per day when we don't have to finish them. Give them to others. Share them with more.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Get
Sure.
a few glasses a day, but drink well and enjoy the flavor profile of wine. Wine is a cultural and part of our life.
Yes.
Enjoy
sure.
it with food, with all kinds of food from all over the world. Test your palate, taste with your palate, and taste with others who understand what everybody likes, and just enjoy it. And have half a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, and half a glass of Chardonnay, half a glass of Champagne, and a third of a glass of Pinot if need be, or a third of a glass of Cabernet. But taste them all, enjoy them all. Drink more diversity of less, rather than big glasses of wine. Don't feel compelled that you have to finish that bottle. Open more to your friends. If you have 8 people around the table, open 10 bottles of wine, but give them less.
Yes.
You don't have to finish it all.
Good
Keep it for the
advice.
next day. A lot
Great.
of those wines stay alive for a few days, specifically if they're well made.
Well, there's good ways of pumping them now, right?
That's
You know?
right.
Yeah.
Use the Coravin system, or
Yes.
all those kinds of preservation little tools that allow you to do it. And frankly, you take the air out of the bottle, you put the cork back, you put it in the fridge, you keep your wine for several days. So I know this is
Several? Yeah.
several days, of
Yeah,
course.
good. I wanted to talk about your grandparents. They were so influential in your life.
Extremely. And I believe if you're all lucky to have been raised the old way, I call it, where you spend a lot of time with your great-grandparents, who I knew, my grandparents, my parents, and you all spend time having lunch and conversation and dinners with no phone, discussion, learning how to debate rather than argue.
Oh, yes,
Learning how to
I love
listen to
that.
everybody's opinion. You have a wealth of information at home, a wealth of learning with your family that is extraordinary. So I was very fortunate, Latif. My grandparents were resistant in the war. They lived a very difficult life, a life they didn't want to live. You know, at 21, my grandfathers were asked to serve.
I know your grandfather went to war.
They went to war both, and to resistance, served the resistance for 5 years, and then obviously got back with their wives and went back with their lives and rebuild France that were obviously invaded and had to be totally rebuilt. And they did it with a smile, with a great sense of humor, and they taught us the values of life. One of them, I will share with you, Latif. I've always been very, very close with my grandmothers. They were extraordinary women.
See.
And one time, I remember we cleaning the dishes. I'm 5 years old. And there was cheese in foil, and we finished the cheese. So I'm wrapping the foil and throwing it away. And my grandmother gives me a little hit on the cheek, boom, which I probably deserve. And she says, Jean-Charles, go and pick it up, and we're going to wash it. We're going to wash the foil paper. Jean-Charles, you need to learn how to reuse everything you have. In the time of war, we had nothing, barely enough to eat. You reuse it, we're going to clean it, we're going to fold it, and we're going to reuse it for the next thing we want to preserve. And this will be the way you're going to be, learning with us how to do that. And, I was obviously crying, and I said, what the hell is she doing? She's slapping me. And she was fully right.
Yes.
And I really honestly learned those principles of reduce, reuse, or recycle with my grandmother probably at 5 or 6 years old. And on both sides, they were doing that. They were recycling bottles of wine, recycling corks, recycling capsule, recycling cartons, recycling everything in the kitchen. And it was a great lesson. And obviously not disposing of what you didn't finish. You wrapped it, put it in the fridge, and had it for dinner or the next day.
Absolutely. I mean, we were so lucky to be born when we were born because I was raised with parents the same.
Yes.
They had 7 children. They didn't have enough money to peel the potatoes, so they didn't peel the potatoes. And to this day, people still walk into my kitchen and I have rinsed out the Ziploc bags and they're turned upside down and they're drying, and I keep Glad wrap and I bundle it up for when I need it next time. It's got nothing on it if it's clean, and the same with foil. I don't throw it out.
And I was delighted.
Until it needs to be.
Exactly, with the 4th garbage basket, you know, you have your glass, you have obviously all your categories that you know, and the last one is composting.
Yeah.
And today, we acquired years ago this beautiful composter at home where you create your own composting, as we do in our vineyards, where we reuse everything that we relay on the land. Learning composting, when I was younger, my grandmothers used to recycle eggshells and obviously the vegetables and everything you can imagine in a compost pile, which would ferment, reach a high temperature. I would remix it, and one of my tasks was to put it at the base of the roses or the vegetables, and they would grow beautifully and organically, natural compost. So I think we need to go back to the basics. I think it's important, again, to dirt our fingernails in the soil, to feel the energy of Mother Nature that has so much more to teach us, and to discover from her. You know, energy. We are energy as human beings. Energy is in nature, in a sunflower, in a nautilus, in our ear, as the spiral and the golden ratio is designed. And we need to learn how to live with the vibration of Mother Nature, with the energy of Mother Nature, and the frequency from the sound of the earth that she gives us, of 7.89 hertz, or, you know, the famous 431 megahertz. And it's very important we learn to evolve in symbiotic relationship with Mother Nature. We meant to be together. She's here to teach us how to be. Let's learn from her.
Yes, well, you know, and I remember too reading that your grandmother introduced you to crystal energy, cosmic energy, magnetic energy.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that, and if you still what you believe about those esoteric views today.
You exciting me to just want to talk about this. So
Great.
Very early on, we all know that we follow the rhythm of Mother Nature as human beings. Women have obviously more rhythm than men. They have more water in their body, and they follow more the rhythm of the moon, hence the cycle. Luckily, I was raised as well with a great sister, a few years older than me, where I learned a ton with. So my grandmother gave me a pendulum as early as I can hold something in my life. I still have all the pendulum. I inherited them all. And I learned to read the energy of Mother Nature and the sense of sight of where I am through pendulum energy. A pendulum is basically the extension of who you are. It takes in the energy and correlates to the energy of where you are and brings a rhythm to the sight and to the intention you give to what you're looking for. So my grandmother was always very big into water sourcing, energy of water, current of water, and the sense of place. So I learned that very early on. She introduced me to minerals, quartz as an example, and other stones, from jade to amethyst to obviously the famous obsidian that converts negative energy to positive energy. This is why today in one of our tequila, we actually affix a circle on every ceramic bottle as a natural obsidian that mirror the soul of what we communicate to this famous tequila, as well as the conversion of negative energy into positive energy. This is why many people have, as you probably know, obsidian in their house. So I really learned pendulum energy and what we call geobiology, geomancy, which is the understanding of gridding the earth and connecting the being to the soul and the energy of the earth and the cosmos around us. So really connecting telluric energy that comes from the earth, terre, the earth, to the cosmic energy, and creating really one world together. So earth, on earth, and above earth. Hence the principle of as above, so below. We are one world together. And I was very fortunate to understand that and to feel energy, your energy right now. And there's a way to measure energy. There's scales to measure energy through your pendulum. The one I learned when I was really 5, 6 years old was Bovis. It's a unit, it's a scale, like Richter. We use Richter for earthquake. It's basically the standard deviation of rhythm to the mean. You know, the vibration of Mother Nature. Same with Bovis. You use a unit from 0 to 14,000, depending which scale you use, or 0 to 140,000, and you put your pendulum on top and it starts to move in a direction. It allows you to measure the level of energy on Earth or through a human being and dynamize energy into stones, into quartz, into rocks, into a site. And I work with a lot of great gurus that surrounds us to really constantly learning about how to do it. And it's been an amazing, for me, experience that has been really used, Latif, from the Chinese to the Egyptian, to the Greeks, to the Romans, to the Incas, to the Mayas, to the Native Americans. I've used those techniques forever. It's only a connection to our past and an understanding of the rhythm around us. We are frequency, we are energy, the yin and the yang, the frequency of who we are as human beings, as sites, as rhythm around us. The key is to understand it. And I love it because we are all energistic molecules that have been transplanted on the earth and are all acting together as 9 billion people with the insects, with the animals, with what happened below us and above us. So it's a phenomenal symphony.
Yes, it is. And you know, I love this subject. I love your philosophy on life, which is if you have a desire or a willingness, you can achieve anything you want.
Absolutely.
So energy flows where energy goes. And what I'm noticing with all the people that are coming on the show, very successful and happy people, all living their best lives, they really are, is they all have had these experiences throughout their lives where they've come to the conclusion, and many of them very young in life, that if you have passion for something, doors will open. It's energy. We are all energy conduits.
That's right.
Right?
As long as you understand that quickly, and one needs to always understand you can achieve everything you want. Everything you want. Look at you, prime success. Daughters of 7, living in another country, today in America, with great success in all what you've done. You've decided to make your life a success. You've plotted a trajectory of your success. You thought about it, you meditated on it, and you decided to go for it. We won't be always successful. I've had tons of failure. And I have plenty today, and I will have plenty tomorrow, and it's okay. The key is to accept, to be audacious, and to be curious. I believe the most interesting people are the most curious people, is to always want to learn on a daily basis and to look at the end of the day and say, who have I met? What have I learned? Am I better this evening than I was this morning? What am I willing to achieve? Where do I want to go? And I think it's to be honest with yourself, to look at yourself in the mirror. We certainly, none of us perfect. And what is perfection anyhow? Is to be willing to try to go on a side which is the tangent to the circle, on the side of the risk, to take risk. And a risk is an opportunity. A risk is not negative. Measure, obviously, you know, the risk and the return of going in one direction versus another. But as long as you allow yourself to understand where you may want to go, you're halfway there.
Right. And, you know, I say to myself all the time, especially when I'm worried about things, everything is always working out for me. And I actually have a million experiences in my life of guardian angels just turning up at the most appropriate second. I mean, I could write volumes on these experiences.
And do.
You know, really, I've had the most amazing life, and not without its difficulties, as you say, right? But the most amazing life, and anything that I've thought about that I really wanted to do, I don't know how I got there, but I got there, you know? It's interesting.
Well, and, you know, if you correlate it to wine, you know, how many wines I've missed? A ton. How many champagne or sparkling wine I missed on the fermentation, I missed on the dosage, which is that ultimate moment at the final level where you add a little sugar to conclude the flavor profile or sometimes the balance and the richness of your wine. And I make the wine, I taste it after putting a cork on it, and I say it's not my liking and I have to start all over again. So, you know, it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
You know, it's not because we're here in this lucky place that we pretend to have succeeded all the time. And,
right.
you know,
yeah.
the feel, I think, of dealing with Mother Nature, she always succeeds.
Yes.
And we can always succeed if we are willing to try to understand the world we around us and to be willing again, I think, to go in that place that is not always comfortable. You know, same as when you do sports or athletic activities, you push yourself to go, again, that extra half a mile, or that mile today, and that 2 miles tomorrow. And you push yourself and your body will tell you no if he or she doesn't want to go there. But most of the time they do. So we can all achieve. And we all need to realize we're here for a purpose. Mm-hmm. We all are born with a reason to be, a reason to exist. Yes. If not, we would not be born. So for that matter, we need to think that we have a purpose. What is our purpose? And we have a reason to be part of this world, which is, I call it a theater. For me, life is a theater. Mm-hmm. We're here for a short period of time. Let's play a great role. Let's have a lot of fun in it. Yeah. And let's try to make a difference.
Yeah.
And if whatever the role we want to play, we make a difference in any way. So let's do it.
Really well said. So to speak to that, in 1981, I think you were 11 years old. Were you 11, 12?
Was I even born in 81?
Were you?
I felt so young today.
So your grandparents, very influential in your life. Your grandparents took you to the United States for the first time. I love this story. And they took you to the Buena Vista winery.
Correct.
With your sister.
Correct.
And they had a wine tasting. And later that day, they let you try the Chardonnay.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you can remember this.
Oh, for sure.
They let you try the Chardonnay that they purchased that day. And you, at 11 years or 12 years old, with such a great palate from drinking from such a young, trying wine from such a young age, said you were so impressed with the wine that you told your sister that one day you wanted to move to the United States and you wanted to own a winery in California. And in 2011, 30 years later, you bought Buena Vista Winery. I mean, does that say it all?
Bring tears to my eyes. Woo!
Gives me goosebumps when I tell that story.
Well. Look, I have wet eyes now.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, it's exciting because I don't want anybody to think that we were drinking wine or half a bottle at the age of 11.
No.
But remember, we were born making wine with our
French.
parents, as if your parents are chef. You're in the kitchen, in the restaurant, you help. So we were tasting wine at the table. And my parents were fabulous, as well as my grandparents, because they never diluted the wine with water. So we really tasted wine as such.
Right.
My sister and I very early on knew how to taste wine, really early, and in many ways knew how to make wine. So at 11, forced to taste 3 or 4 Chardonnays, whether spit or swallow just a little, but really inhale the beautiful bouquet was enough. And I had an epiphany moment. I knew Chardonnay well at 11, but I did not know California Chardonnay. I knew Burgundy. Mm-hmm. I knew the Côte de Beaune, Chassagne Montrachet, Puligny Montrachet, Meursault, Corton Charlemagne, really the best of the best.
Yeah.
But it had a different nose, a different aromatic expression. So when I tasted 11, the exotism, the flamboyance, the richness, the sunshine in that glass, I felt something happen to me that I said, I thought I knew Chardonnay, but this is very different. And I got very curious, and I got extremely tempted to taste more and to understand why Chardonnay was so different. I thought Chardonnay is like this, and that's it. But I realized how much the soil, the weather condition, the sunshine had an impact, and the different clonal selection on the grape varieties would play a role. So I got extremely curious, and I need to tell you though, as much as I love Buena Vista and the tasting we had at 11, what I loved the most on that trip was the American way of life, the American people. And I love them as much today, if not more. And I love this American lifestyle, this absolute sense of where everything is possible. Not for monetary return, because I was not just driven by money. Very little, in fact. I was really driven by being able to do what you like, being able to do what you want, being able to create, being able to be audacious, being able to not being judged. In a society that Europe is very judgmental, being able to do something, and if you fail, it's okay, you could start again. You're not condemned forever. So I felt that very early on. And the American smile, looking at perfect teeth, white teeth, Hollywood smile, was very attractive.
Yes, of course.
And those people that say, life is cool, life is comfortable, let's make it fun. Because America is a fun place. And we don't always realize it because we listen to news and we listen the downer of life, which we should not let that affect us. America is the best place on earth. So early on, Latif, I know I'm answering your question a long way, I fell in love. I had coup de foudre, you know, as if it was my first kiss. My first kiss happened at the same age. So it was really fun. It was with a beautiful woman, and it was with California and America. And I said, that's where I want to be.
Oh, it was an American woman.
No, it was a French woman, but I fell in love with America when I came in that summer of 81. I said, this girlfriend of mine that is called America, the Statue of Liberty is the lady I want. And for me, America is a woman because it's a beautiful place. It's a place where everything is possible. And a place of creativity, audacity, a way of life. And I knew at that age what I wanted is the balance of European style or lifestyle, tradition and heritage and history and luxury and beautiful products and beautiful making at large. It could be a bag, it could be a suit, it could be a jacket, it could be shoes, it could be art, it could be monuments, it could be architecture, combined with the incredible fertility of ideas of America and this sense of entrepreneurship that happens to be a French word, beautifully executed in America. So I loved it. I wanted it. It was love at first sight, and I've never stopped to love her, and more even today than ever. So America has never disappointed me, and I feel even more energized today with her than ever before.
Wonderful. And Maria Minetti would agree with you from
for sure.
Right?
I was just with her last night.
I know you were. I heard.
And we are very close friends for the same reason. Maria is a phenomenal lady that came with nothing to the US, took a phenomenal brand, very high luxury, and introduced a new concept in department stores. She thought differently on how to complete a full brand, fully completed from top to bottom, presented in department store, Neiman Marcus as an example, as the Gucci brand. And it was brilliant. And she could do it in America even more than she could have done it back in Italy at the time. And she is the pure representation of this American dream and this American success done in a great way.
Yes, she certainly is. She brought Gucci and Fendi to America. She's coming on the show.
I love it.
I'm going to be interviewing her this week. I'm very excited. So you studied finance and business in London. Then you did your graduate studies at UCLA, and then you got your MBA in San Francisco, UC San Francisco. But along the way, you were going to become a professional footballer.
Well,
do tell.
That's right. I was I was very passionate about what we call here soccer. I've always been very athletically driven. It could be jogging, it could be tennis, it could be judo, it could be swimming, it could be kickboxing today. Obviously tennis and every sports. I would do 30, 40 hours of sports a week. I still do a fair amount today. And, you know, I was raised in a village, Vougeot, top of the Grand Cru village. But I was right in the village, so we had 200 inhabitants, but a lot of young kids. We would play in the streets at all time. At the récréation, at the break, we'd play with the tennis ball. So we became very technical and technician of soccer. I was honestly loving it and quite good. So I was in the national team very early. I was, 14 and a half, 15, 16. And I was going to go pro. It was going to become my life. I had no doubt I would not make wine, even though I knew how to do it. And to sell wine, because obviously I could early on sell a lot of things because I love people. So I love selling. And you sell yourself every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, events happen where my parents were fabulous, but they maybe said, are you sure that's what you want to do? And that's maybe the only time I should not have listened to my parents. I should have listened even greater to my grandmother, who was a school teacher. Yes. She said, forget school. Go and play soccer. Be a soccer player. And, you know, somehow I did not do it. If you talk regret, the biggest of my life.
Is it?
Yeah, because I was at the top level. I was center forward, left forward, forward right. I was with the best players that became the French team forever. They were friends for a long time with me. Nobody understood why I stopped. No one. And, you know, sometimes you do things for whatever reason. I wish I did it. And that's what I said to my daughters. That's why I said to everyone. I had truly a facility, an ease to be good at soccer. I was honestly good at it. Not to be cocky or pretentious, but I was scoring. I was, you know, always doing it. And I loved it. I knew the game by heart. It was in my blood. And I stopped it, and I really regret it to this day. So that's why I say to people, you want to do something in life, do it. Go crazy. And I speak to my friend John Legend, who was very smart. He had a true talent as a great pianist. And John is a very close friend of mine, and I adore him. And he kept persevering. And he became a top consultant with McKinsey and kept playing the piano like Lady Gaga at night in shows and staying up till 2 a.m. and then showing up at work at 8 o'clock. But they persevered, and they broke the ceiling, and they became who they are today because they persevered and they had a true talent. And I think when you have something given to you, exploit it at 100%. Go for it. Stop everything around it. Don't be as thoughtful as I was to go to study finance. Who cares of it? You know, frankly, you use numbers to come to terms to what you want to do. But the numbers are at the service of creativity. It's not finance who rule the world. You need to be creative. You need to sell something, create something. If you don't create something, there's no finance. You know, you have to do something, to build something, to eventually use accounting and finance to measure what you're doing.
Yes.
But if you don't create anything, there's no
nothing
finance.
to measure.
So if you don't sell something, there's no revenue. So the point I want to make in a long way is be crazy, be audacious, take risk. And if you think you have a talent, which I'm sure you do, go wild.
Yeah.
And who knows? Look at Picasso, look at Dali, my favorite people, Magritte. Look at those people. Look at the singers around us, the actors. Many people had nothing and they took a risk. And many of them became successful. So let's learn from all of it. success is not, again, monetary only. It's about what you do with it, how great your chakras are aligned, how balanced you become, and how happy you are.
Yeah.
Everybody has happiness in measured in a different way.
And when you follow your passion, it's not work, is it? Like you said, you've never worked a day in your life. And
No.
I think I just wrote that in my bio the other day. You know, I've had so many chapters in my life and none of them have ever seemed like work to me. Yet people would say, oh my God, how do you keep these hours? You're going to kill yourself. And I go, I love it, you know?
That's right, and keep changing.
It's
if you
not
think
work.
one thing is not working, evolve. Don't be stubborn.
Yeah.
Be audacious, be curious, and evolve in life. You know, I design jewelry as an example. You see my cufflinks, which are, you know, beautiful handcuffs. You see this new piece of jewelry that really represent who I am. You know, do I sell millions? Is it all over the place? Do you know me for jewelry? Not really. When you know me better, you discover my jewelry and you eventually buy them and you say it's cool. If you don't like it, you don't buy them. But be creative. Same with my fragrance. Same with paintings and drawings that I'm doing more and more these days. And I think we all have creative sides in us. We all have a side that we don't know that you want to discover, and be crazy to go there. Push yourself. Allow yourself to fail, but at least go there so you don't have any regrets.
So you've jumped to jewelry, and I have two favorites when I went online to see. Firstly, I wanted to say that the best day of your life was in 2006 when you met the lovely Gina Gallo at a wine tasting in Burgundy.
Yes.
You married in 2009.
Correct.
Had twin girls in 2011.
Yes. Actually, we met in 2003.
2003.
So can you believe it makes us 21 years later as of today? So we've met early on, and it's amazing that, not to obviously interrupt you from your question, but, you know, alignment, which is very interesting in life. It's when you get aligned with a property, with an object, with a wine, with a dish, with where you are, with a sense of place, with people. You find alignment. And I think it was very unique with Gina as we met, how much we discovered we had things in common, and how much we had a lot in our past, in our present, and potentially in our future. So it's not that we were looking for each other in the space of the world. It's not that we were introduced and arranged as getting together, because our parents did not know each other. None of us knew each other. It just happened. I must say a great friend introduced us, but then we took it from there. And I really recommend for people to allow those things to happen in life.
Yeah.
Because this is fun.
And it's interesting because Gina's family's winery is the largest wine producer in the world.
I believe so.
And the largest family winery in the United States.
Correct.
And the two of you are often referred to as wine industry royalty.
Well,
Yeah. Right?
I'm not sure what that means. I feel this is very kind to say. I would just say, you know, being the king is being at the service of others. And if a king is a great one, and the identity and image that I'm portraying through that piece of jewelry is the Sun King of France of Louis XIV, who lived up to 74 and was serving magnificently his people and was responsible for his people and playing a great role. And for me, as referred to this, which I'm obviously blushing and not believe it's the truth, but more the prince of it, is to every day attempt to make extraordinary, phenomenal, vibrational products. And I use the word products because wine is one element of it, spirits is another, jewelry, fragrance, candles, you know, room sprays, and everything we do, designing glasses, which we just use to decanters.
Yeah.
I think allowing yourself to create for others. For me, Latif, anything I do and I have is actually not for me. And I was very lucky to do a retreat when I was actually 15 years old in Burgundy. You know, I was raised next to the monks of Burgundy, the Cistercian monks, the Citeaux monks, the white monks. Those monks have retreat area. And there's one in Thésée where you actually go there for the weekend and you are in a little cell or room and there's only a piece of wood. And they give you just a robe, a monk robe, a bure as we call it, which scratch a little bit, it's heavy cloth, and a rope, and you, with your own self, that's all you have. And you sleep on a piece of wood, and you meditate, and you reflect, and you pray. And whoever you pray, whatever religion you believe, you could be Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Hinduist, it doesn't matter. We all pray for a God. Is you're in contact with your own self. And this is where you learn that tableau rase, nothing on the table is as important as having something. For me, all the things I basically have or create, it's for others. It's to share. It's the fun of sharing. When I'm alone, do I use all those things? I do because it's part of my life. But it's really the beauty, the exercise of having people being around me to be in that environment, that place. You're born with nothing and you die with nothing.
With nothing, yeah.
And I believe that's a great objective that I have, is I will die with nothing because I will give it all.
Right.
To my children, obviously. Right. If something remains, we make mistakes and hopefully I don't lose it all, but is to transmit it.
Well, without doubt, you are the most genuine, down-to-earth person. You're so friendly with everybody. I mean, I think about the interactions I've had with you over the years. You're always so generous and welcoming, and you always respond. You really are. I can see that experience at 15 really rubbed off on you.
Thank you.
I'd love to quickly run through some of your ideas and dreams that you've turned into businesses.
Thank you.
So, Raymond Vineyards, 1881 Napa, the Calistoga Depot. What would you like to talk about and share?
Well, as Martin Luther King said, who I've always admired, I read his speech, I was, 14, with my grandparents. I will never forget, and we translated it from English to French. Having a dreams, whether it's skin color, integration of religion, of whatever belief, I believe in diversity. And I believe in creating experience, to dream and do what you dream. I dream of a beautiful world, of being a citizen of the world, and to create amazing places. As I make wine or spirits or participate to all of it, I want people to have an amazing time where they are. Respect history, hence Oakville Grocery, first continuous operated store, and today partially a museum, a grocery, and an amazing wine merchant, to the Calistoga Distillery, founded in 1868 by Sam Brannan, recreate the dream of the gold rush and recreate all those rooms and the historical distillery of the past. Or Buena Vista Winery, the first historical winery in California, the one I visited when I was 11. We've built a beautiful museum on the history of Californian wine. We've created experience in the caves that are second to none. We paid tribute and homage to the Chinese that build those wineries. To Raymond Vineyards, we celebrating today 50 years. To Deloach, next year 50 years. So paying homage to the past, but creating magic. I believe a place should be transcendental, should be existential. A place should be a place where you meet people, not daunting, not snob, but alluring and sexy and seductive, where you plunge in another world. I want to transport you in any of our venue into another world you haven't thought of. And I want you to touch the energy of the sofa, the chair, the feathers, to look around and to say, where am I? Oh, I'm being inspired. I aspire to be this. And this is what I really want, is for you to never think the same when you enter any of our destination. From furniture to what you look at, to artwork, to the energy, to what you taste, to what you eat, to what you drink, to what the flavor you sense, to what the smell you have. And I want you to embrace it. I want to bring your friends too. I want you to come back. And along this journey of maybe 12 different locations here in California, to constantly be inspired to want to come and to want to bring people and to want to discover something else. And that's what I'm excited about, is to constantly take people on this journey and this theatrical stage that we on at all time. The moment you leave your house or you get up, you're on stage. As a person, as a being. People you touch at the gas station or the electric recharging station, to the grocery store, to the online person, to the people you talk to the interaction of you have to everyone. You're basically a brand. You're basically a human being. You're Latif. And why I wanted to be with you today, because I've equally always enjoyed who you are, your charm, your personality, and your seductive sense of you. That really made me want to be with you. And that's what I want to create.
Well, you certainly have. And you have to tell them what your website is so they can go and see the beautiful furniture and decor and experiences that they can have, because you have a lot of experiences. Experience in a weekend in the wine country.
For sure, the historical
master
tours.
classes at Calistoga Depot. You want to tell?
Yeah, absolutely. So jcbcollection.com or Boisset, Boisset collection.com, or RaymondVineyards.com, or BuenaVistaWinery.com. So we have the Kitchen Collective as an example, which is amazing.
You bought that?
We bought that and we created it at Elizabeth Spencer, which is really a true memorabilia of all the tools in the kitchen you've used with your grandparents, great-grandparents, parents, and you get to taste wine among this amazing place. You have museums. You can actually create art with us. We created a partnership with Nimbus.
Oh.
Or at Raymond or Elizabeth Spencer Winery, you could create art. Whether it's sip and paint, whether it's to create sculpture, whether it's to paint plates, whether it's to create mold, whether it's to create anything you want on glass.
Oh.
It's very cool because you get to be creative and taste wine. Whether it is caviar tasting at JCB, chocolate tasting at Chateau Buena Vista, whether it is whiskey tasting at the Calistoga Depot, chocolate making, whether it's the cooking classes with our chef, gardening tours with Joe Pependick, our head gardener.
Really?
We do it all because we love it all. Yeah. We want our places to be a fire of creativity. We want you to tour our places and be inspired to, inside of you, want to be your own creative energy.
Wow, I have to gather some of my peeps and come and do some.
Absolutely.
Have some of these experiences.
And I've had a lot of them. I love it. With Nimbus, which is a great school program for kids or for adults, you can learn how to dye, natural dye. I had a white jacket with a lot of stains. I thought, this is a gorgeous jacket. I love the cut, and Nimbus had a program with indigo dyeing. I did it with a few friends, love learning how to do it. In 2 hours, I turned this jacket into an amazing jacket.
Is that right?
And same with a shirt. And suddenly, a jacket I was going to retire became an unbelievable jacket. And you'll see it with dégradé of blue, indigo blue. We took the plants, we literally created indigo, powder, which then we sink into the fabric, into it, and created our own pattern and air dried it, and it became a stunning, fashionable jacket. So
I love it.
Learning by doing, and same as candle making or soap making.
Oh, are you doing candle making? Because I used to do that as a kid, and I want to do it again.
I just did it with my daughters. We had a blast. On the 4th of July, we made candles. We have all the equipment for it, and we make it with recyclable beeswax or natural wax and natural incense, and it's amazing. And we've made amazing candles. So we already do it.
Where is that?
It's at Elizabeth Spencer.
Oh, at Elizabeth Spencer. Oh, that's all there.
Where we're doing that. At Raymond as well for the 50th anniversary. We have all kinds of activities where you could do with us in the Grove, in the beautiful Grove outdoor, in the heart of the valley. We do yoga classes as well.
You don't?
At the Loach.
You do? Wow.
Yeah, so it's fun. So, You know, winery is much more than just making wine and a place where you buy wine. It's a place where you experience all kinds of cultural activity.
Well, the young people would be loving your wineries, for sure. Did you say you've taken up art, painting?
Always love arts. I really believe that I should have followed my passion more. I told you one of my regrets with soccer. My second is obviously not studying art and, you know, to do a university of art, or les beaux-arts. So today I'm catching up. And my goal in a few years is to really be proficient into more of different forms of art, from painting to oil painting, acrylic, on wood, on canvas, spray paint, to sculpture, to doing all kinds of things that I want to do. I want to have fun, really telling you what is inside my head and inside my heart and creating it around us, besides wine and spirits.
I love it. So do you have any other businesses like in the making, or is this the stage in life that you want to start having more fun?
Well, yes, we have hotels, which we love to welcome our guests. We have the Ink House in Napa Valley, which is only 6 rooms at this stage in the heart of the valley in Santa Elena, but we'd like to have more. We want to create more experiences for people to really enjoy. We want to build further the fragrance making, where you could come and learn how to make fragrance with us, make your own fragrance. So we want to develop that activity as well as our own fragrance. We want to develop more as a business, the candle making we do, as well as the soap. So we want to build more, and we partnered in a lot of other businesses with people that are creative as well. So we want to be part of creative businesses that allow others to express themselves and to inspire others. And if you like buying those things, it's exciting because you get to live from what you create. Nothing better.
Very exciting. I did want to ask you about, we're having more and more French chateaus invest in wineries here in Napa Valley. So what do you think about that?
I think it's great. People love America. And I'm French, obviously, born and raised. I think, as an example, use the word French. The French need America to be who they are. And I think having the tradition and the heritage of France is a perfect blend and marriage to the US. And the two together have always worked from independence to today. And when you look at the collaboration of Marquis of Lafayette and many other, Vasseur, to many other great leaders of France, Rochambeau and many others, with Lafayette or Benjamin Franklin and all, George Washington, and all the one today, I think we're great together. So whether they're French, whether they're Australian, whether they're English, I don't believe of a world which is divided, to be frank. I believe in one world. I feel I'm a true citizen of the world. I love Australia as much as I love England, as much as I love all the countries of the planet. I believe in one world. I don't believe in races. I believe we all have one color. Mm-hmm. Who cares whatever color we're born?
Absolutely.
And who cares of whatever religion we have, and who cares of what we like better, gender or what have you. I'm a very open-minded person. It's our heart that brings us together. It's our love of each other. That's what counts. Luckily, I've had wine so far to express myself. I bring the bottles of wine to everywhere I go, the champagne, the spirits, the wine, and hopefully that brings us together, brings us to consensus. Wine is the most diplomatical ingredient of the face of the earth. It's in every religious, from the Bible to the Torah to the Quran to everything. Mm-hmm. So that fermented grapes is essential. So bring wine to the table, accept other people's opinion, other ideas. We're not here to all agree. The world would be vanilla. If we only like vanilla, that would be tragic. Yeah. If we only like the same color, it would be terrible. Accept differences. Bring people together. I love at a dinner table, and I make on purpose that my dinner table is always my last supper, where people disagree politically, artistically, economically. It's so fun to have a table where people are not the same opinion. If we all look the same, had the same opinion, all dressed in black and white like I do today, that would be a boring table. So I here, honestly, with a greater purpose, to bring people together, to use wine to bring different artistic expression, different musics. Today we like classical. It's Festival Napa Valley. I'm on the board of it. I love classical, but I love pop. I love electronic music. I love house. I love it all, frankly. I love the Buddhism sound of the bowl. I love kickboxing all the way to traditional boxing. I like ballet dancing as much as pop art. I like skateboarding as much as surfing. I love kickboxing as much as boxing. I love surfing as much as snowboarding.
I love it.
I love it all.
Yeah.
All belong to the world we live in.
Amazing, amazing. I have one more question for you about the festival. So your festival,
Yes.
Napa Valley, is this week.
For sure.
Opening night tonight.
Yes.
Are you
well,
coming to the opera?
Of course, and we had the Founders Night last night. At my friend Alan Wartburg, beautiful winery, Donum.
Yes.
We have the big event on Tuesday at Raymond.
Yes,
La
I was
Traviata!
going to check to see if you knew you had a few hundred people coming for dinner.
Well, more than that, actually.
Oh, really?
But we love it. The more, the better. It's going to be Life in Red. The theme of Raymond this year is the 50-year anniversary. Thank you for being that beautiful orange red on you today. We love it. I have red socks, as you can all see. Here's my red socks. Voila, my JCB socks. And yes, we're going to have 300-400 guests. We love it. Raymond is always part of it.
Always.
Last year, the opening night, as you know, was at Wapo Hill at our home. We love Festival Napa Valley. Mr. Charles de Tourneau is amazing. Rick, you know.
Oh, Charles is coming on the show.
Well,
I'm interviewing
fantastic.
him. Yes,
and
yes.
you're going to have Rick, the founder of it, who is unbelievable. And, you know, so we are blessed to have, look, Bottle Rock, which is phenomenal music from country to pop. We have then the South American music, soul, and with Mexican and Central American and South American theme. I mean, we have it all. We should have an African theme. All of it should belong to Napa Valley. Napa Valley and Sonoma, of course, I mean, all Northern California should be welcoming every form of art. We should think wine and spirits. We should think music, food, great hotels, beautiful spa, but at the same time, creative art and fashion. You know, my big commitment is fashion. I love it. And we have a lot of friends in that world of fashion. We just brought the other day Mr. Chris Cohen, who is an amazing artist, to Dolce & Gabbana, to other fantastic artists that we love, that belong to Napa Valley, that we should have more often. So, you know, all form of art belong here. Not just music, not just food, not just great hotels, not just great spa. It's about it all. Napa is the epicenter of creativity.
Yes. Are you going to the gala with Lionel Richie?
I sadly cannot do this one this year because I have to be at another long lasting commitment. But, you know, often I do, and we have often a beautiful auction lot. Not this year, but we will most likely next year. And it's, you know, we're very committed to philanthropy. We raise millions a year to the community. We donate all our wineries to any possible form of art. Another one coming at Buena Vista August 4th with Robert Bradford. Raymond is obviously donating again to the Salvation Army. We just did something big with De Rosa. We did something very big as well with Jameson Rescue for animals. We did something very big with Ole Health, where we just raised a lot of money as well. So we involved on every front, Collective Napa Valley included, Sonoma, and the Russian River, and Alexander Valley, and San Francisco. So we are really believing that what we do with wine needs to be a communicator to engage people, a conduit, energy, to bring magnetic energy to others and inspiration to be greater citizen.
You know, your grandparents were teachers. I've often thought when I've done research on you and listened to you that you would have been a phenomenal teacher.
Oh, thank you.
You definitely would have. And thank you so much for everything you shared with our guests today about life and passion. And living their best lives. It has been such an honor to have you on the show.
I love when Latif looks at me deep in the eye like this. My heart is vibrating, my body is shaking, and I'm engaged for a number 2.
Same time next year, my friend. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I will see you next time.